G'day guys, it's Alex and Steve here from Kingaroy. We're just going to go through some basic things to look for when doing a trade appraisal. Not a full comprehensive list by any means, but just some of the common things to look for. So take it away, Steve. Show us what you look for.
G'day guys, how are you? So first of all, when you walk up to a motor vehicle, you'll see if it's a wholesale option or not. But there are some things that we don't, and we miss out and we don't pick up when looking at a motor vehicle and valuing a motor vehicle. So this is just a couple of things that you can pass on to yourself in your whole process. And that way it'll enable and help the management to make better decisions from a valuation point of view for you. And also make it quicker for the customer and yourselves. So basically, the first thing is generally, yes, we open the driver's door. Generally, all we do is look at that. My suggestion is you look in the inner guard and you just see these bolts, and all cars have them, the inner guard bolt. See if they've been moved, placed, scratched or whatever. That means it could have been an impact situation. So that's the first thing I look for. I also look for the door hinge bolts to see they're good. Then of course pop the bonnet. Always have a visual on the inside scope and the seat. Well, the seats of course break through here, the cowlings, and just make sure the seats aren't torn, etc., because that is a rego situation as well. So then we open up the bonnet. So here's the tricky one. As we know, hail is a big part of our life in Queensland or Australia. So what you should do, if I can find the bonnet latch on this, it's a Euro, so there you go. So basically when you lift the bonnet, let the light reflect all the way through, and you'll start to see if it's a light hail, you'll see it, and you'll just reflect it in the light, just to get the view of the light. It's always best under fluorescent lights because they stand out more. But when you're in the hot sun, just reflect it and look at the angles, and you'll just see little dents if there's hail on it.
Yep, and same thing with the roof, right? You can just change the angle you're looking at it, move around a little bit, helps
100%.
pick it up rather than just looking at one photo.
Yeah, correct. So then the next thing is you lift the bonnet, and then you look at the bonnet bolts and the bonnet stay bolts. So if they're all paired, or like scratched where it looks like someone's had them off, it means the possibility had the bonnet off, especially if the inner guards have been done. It means it's had a frontal impact where it's popped the guards and they've had to replace the guards, etc.
Yep.
So then you'll also notice on most vehicles these lights craze off. On a car that's aged in kilometres, you'll also see that it's actually a fresh clean lens because they would have been replacing the frontal impact also.
Yep.
So general engine, basically you don't have to do a full inspection of it. You just make sure, for what I look for is rat wiring, rats, things like that, have a nice little tube, especially around here, so just make sure there's no rat chewing because that can be extremely expensive, especially the wiring and around the computer and things like that. So those things should be picked up as well at that point in time. Leave the bonnet up, have the wheels turned. The reason why we have the wheels turned, when you have them on the face and you're inspecting your tyres, you're just putting your fingers on the outside. So basically, yeah, that looks good, but a lot of cars may have bad camber, and basically what happens is this will wear on the inside, but you don't see it. So if you have the wheel on the turn, you can see the full tyre, and you can say, hey, it might be good there, but it's no good there. And you can explain
100%.
that to the customer.
Yeah, one of the most common things costing money in wholesale and retail of used cars is windscreens and tyres, so good point.
So the windscreen then, on it up, you won't have the sun as much in the windscreen. Sit in the inside, you'll see the screen cracks easier.
Yep.
From the inside rather than the outside. So you just get in the car quickly, have a look visually, because sometimes you'll have a small crack which will run in 5 seconds with heat, etc. So just make sure that's clean. Then of course we go through the books. So the books, service history, etc. Go through, tick off, make sure everyone's been done. If it hasn't, well then it's basically an average service, not a good service. So good service of course is that, and then you have the full dealership. It's a Ford or a Holden or a Toyota or whatever the case may be.
Really important for Toyotas, right? For Toyota certified, they've got to have every single service stamped.
Yep, that's right. And then you just go make sure they've got all the manuals as well. The other thing is, as we all know, keys are very expensive. Ask the customer for 2 keys.
Yep.
If they don't have 2 keys, please note in the comments that it doesn't have 2 keys. All right. So basically, just general condition. I know you'll take photos and things like that. If you have a visual of it, that looks all pretty reasonable. It's just dirty, good detail will bring it up pretty good, as they say, good nothing scratch.
Another thing to look for, you'll see cars with dash mats. Make sure you lift it up, have a look underneath, see if the dash is cracked. There is, people will try to hide it.
And same with steering wheels, covers.
Yep.
So the next thing, yep, you looked at the doors on the inside, I forgot, sorry. So same thing this
Yep.
side, because you can have a corner impact
Yep.
where they have to replace the guard. You'll also, if you get good eyes over the years, you'll see different paint colorations and orange peel, things like that. You'll see small runs. You'll never replicate, ever replicate a factory job. No matter how good they are, they make them, unless they're doing a whole spray job, it's very easy to pick actually if you have a good eye on you. Then we go along, same thing in the rear, check the doors, check the hinges, make sure they're all genuine. Have a check of the seats, make sure there's no big lacerations or tears. With a little bit of wear here and there, which you'd expect on a motor vehicle like this. That's acceptable for that age and condition. Have a look once again along the roof. So when you look along the roof, you're looking in the light. So you're trying to find any light dents. Normally you'll get them in the channels, and then you'll get them along the rail here. The rail's fairly soft on most of these cars, and that's the first place you'll see that when the rail comes down. Rear tailgate, you just found out how to open it. There you go. European model, always difficult. So the first thing I look for once again is up here. So these are what they call Sikaflex joints. So these are all factory. So they've got that little bit of Sikaflex. If that's been replaced as a rear skin or something like that, that'll be just a little bit ugly. It won't be formed, it won't be true. So you just look all along, make sure that's all tidy, which that is. So then look down, once again, mind the redbacks. Once again, look at all the bolts, things like that. When you've generally had a major impact in the rear, you look in the boot. So in the boot cavity, not that I can get this up much, but anyway, I'll show this. In the boot cavity, you'll see in a lot of cars, they'll have Sikaflex joints all the way down through here, and you'll note that they're factory. You'll just see that they're just perfectly neat. When they're not, and they've been replaced, and the pan's been replaced, you'll just see it's all pretty much over the place, and you'll be able to tell it's had a rear impact.
Yep.
And so what you have to understand about that is that not many customers sometimes know they've had a rear impact, or they may have bought it second hand and don't know and not been told. So just be mindful of that. These are another original Sikaflex joints, so this is probably a better one to show, Ax, if you wouldn't mind. How neat and tidy they are. Follow the contour. That's the Sikaflex. So when you get something that's been repaired and a rear skin and a new skin put on, that will never be uniform like that. And then next thing, rear tyres, put your hand right inside, not just on the outer, right inside, and check the rear tyres. Check the rims, make sure the rims aren't scuffed. Both sides, mainly passengers, the one that you actually finish on. No skid. So basically make sure it can raise on curbs, things like that, because a lot of damage can be done. Very costly. And then the last part is the rear door on the left, on the right hand side. Same thing, just check bolts, things like that. Just have a quick check. It takes a couple of seconds and it just helps, and you can mention to your manager or your valuer and just say, hey, I've noticed a couple of bolts a little bit different coloured, or been scratched or been moved. That way then it just makes them easier to go through it more thoroughly when they do the appraisal.
Yep. I think not everyone's expected to be an expert, but if there's anything you're unsure about, just make comment of it, and then at least someone can have a look at it and know.
Exactly.
All right, everyone, this is Alex again, and this is Tom, our reconditioning and roadworthy tech. He's just going to go through a couple of quick things you can look for from a mechanical point of view when doing an appraisal. So take it away, Tom.
All right, so there's a few basic things you can check quick pop of the bonnet for someone who's not completely mechanically minded. Simple dipstick out, check, make sure the oil is actually on the dipstick or at the top mark. You got your low mark, and then if it's completely off the dipstick altogether, that's obviously not great. And then most of your coolant bottles, you'll have a minimum and a maximum line on there. If it's sitting somewhere in between there, that's good. If it's completely empty, you've got some sort of issue somewhere.
Also with discoloration, any milkiness or anything like that in the oil, anything like that.
Chocolate milkshake or a strawberry milkshake. You can have cooler problems somewhere in the engine.
Yep.
Which is obviously not good. That's about it for under the bonnet, I would say,
Yep.
quickly.
One of the most common roadworthy items that cost a lot of money is tyres, right? Do you want to just talk about tyres? We've sort of gone over tread a little bit, but do you want to just talk about the things that you see fail tyres more often than not?
Yeah, so most of the time, it's not the centre of the tyre that is unroadworthy, it'll be the edges, inside and outside edges.
And how do you check for that, mate?
So most decent brands of tyres will have a small triangle on the edge.
Yep.
And that's the wear indicator for the edge. So once it's worn down to the tip of that triangle, that's sort of where the limit is.
Even if there's plenty of tread in the middle.
Even if the middle is brand new and the edge is down to that
Yeah.
triangle, the tyres
Could-
deemed not roadworthy.
Could be due to a poor wheel alignment or anything like that, right?
Yeah, usually 9 times out of 10 it's a bad wheel alignment where
Yeah.
the edges, or low tyre pressures, if they've been driving with a flat.
Yep. And then, mate, also mechanically wise, like any engine lights and stuff like that. One of the things I see in appraisals a lot, people turn the indicators, turn it on to ignition on, but don't start the engine. Obviously, a lot of lights are going to show at that point. You've got to actually turn the engine on and then see if there's any lights on there, right?
Yeah, when you first just turn the ignition on, the cluster gauges will just do like a light check where all the lights will come on to make sure they're working. So once the engine's actually running, for probably about 10-15 seconds before those lights will go off if there's no issues. If they stay on after that, then you've got some sort of drama and the car will need to be scanned to see the severity of it, how much it's going to cost us.
Yep. And after that point, obviously, if you go for a drive in the car, it may not be the salesperson, maybe the sales manager. But what do you sort of look for, mate, when you go for a drive? What do you listen for, and what do you feel for?
So mainly, you want to go over some sort of not perfect road, a bit of roughness in it, so you can feel over any bumps. If there's knocks and rattles in the suspension, sort of you feel it in the seat of your pants, in the driver's seat sometimes, and then in the steering, if you do sort of not crazy swerving all over the road, but just sort of within the lane, if you can go from left to right a little bit, you might feel a bit of wobble in the car or some knocks in the steering.
Yep.
That's usually a quick, easy indicator. If there's going to be something major, there may still be small suspension issues that don't get picked up by that, but anything massive will definitely show.
And as far as engine, like acceleration, what do you listen for there, mate?
Yeah, so I usually, when you first start the car up, you want to see if there's any knocks and rattles. Some cars will have, on the initial startup, they'll have a bit of a knock and a rattle until the wheel gets up to the top. And then if it quietens right down, that can be normal. But if there's some sort of knock and rattle that hangs around for a long time, that's some sort of issue inside. And then while you're driving the vehicle, usually you don't want to flog the car, but you want to give it a bit of good acceleration just to see if the engine power is good. Make sure there's no sort of jerking forward and back when you put your foot down, or it just doesn't seem to go.
Loss of power, it could be a turbo or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, perfect. All right, mate. Thank you very much for taking us through the cars, and appreciate your expertise.